The fate of the $10 million inheritance was about to be decided, and I knew exactly what my sister Megan was thinking. She had made it abundantly clear over the years that she believed our parents had always favored her and would have wanted her to inherit everything. "It's obvious," she would say with a smug grin. "Why would they leave anything to someone as plain as you?" At our parents' funeral, Megan hardly contributed, while I took on the overwhelming responsibility of managing the arrangements. It was clear to me that she was more focused on the inheritance than on honoring our parents. As the formalities finally came to an end, Megan's stance became unmistakable. "I'll take it all," she said, her tone mocking. "Fine by me if you never contact me again." Who would want to? I thought bitterly. Megan didn't realize that it wasn't me who was being cut off. Without saying another word, I turned my back on her. The hollow resignation I felt didn't sting with sadness but rather with a sense of finality. I had lost my sister just as surely as I had lost our parents. I'm Hillary, 35 years old and an office worker. Our parents, both successful entrepreneurs, had built thriving businesses, giving Megan and me the privilege of attending private schools and universities. After graduating, I settled into a steady job at a company, working my way up through diligence and commitment. Megan, on the other hand, never seemed to seek stability. She drifted aimlessly, hopping between part-time jobs without any clear direction. Despite her lack of ambition, our parents indulged her, covering her expenses and funding her spontaneous adventures, while they constantly urged me to be prudent and self-sufficient. The difference in how we were treated was painfully evident. Megan's carefree lifestyle was allowed, partly due to her extraordinary beauty. Megan had inherited our mother's large, expressive eyes and double eyelids, our father's sharp nose, and our grandmother's graceful figure. Everywhere she went, people turned their heads, exuding charm and confidence. I, on the other hand, was not so fortunate. I inherited my mother's low nose, my father's small eyes, and my grandfather's stocky build. From the moment Megan was born, 6 years after me, she became the family's golden child. Her beauty effortlessly overshadowed me. As a child, I adored her, and she would follow me around, calling me Hillary. But as she grew older and entered elementary school, her beauty began to draw more attention, leaving me feeling increasingly insecure. Modeling scouts would approach her, but I was often dismissed with a polite smile. By high school, Megan was fully aware of the power her looks gave her and began using them to torment me. She would take my things, sometimes claiming them as her own, and stage dramatic scenes to paint herself as the victim. Our parents always sided with her. "Hillary, you're the older sister," they'd say. "Be patient with Megan. She's just teasing you." No amount of protest could change their perception. After I graduated from university, I had had enough. I moved out, taking holiday jobs just to avoid coming home. For 4 years, I kept my distance from the family, rejecting their pleas for me to return. Then, 3 years ago, everything changed. Our parents died suddenly in a car accident, forcing Megan and me to face each other again. At the funeral, she cried endlessly while I quietly took care of the arrangements. But when the topic of inheritance came up, her tears quickly turned into cold calculation. The $10 million estate became her sole focus. It was no surprise when Megan began asserting her entitlement. But her attitude only confirmed what I had known all along. I had no reason to stay connected to her. "I'm taking it all," Megan sneered. "After all, you're unattractive, and our parents loved me more. They'd want me to have everything. Oh, do you need some money for plastic surgery?" "I don't want it," I replied calmly, surprising her. But I meant every word. The thought of inheriting anything was meaningless to me, especially after the chaos surrounding our parents' sudden deaths. There had been no time for grieving, only for managing the endless demands of relatives, subordinates, and business partners. The whispered comments at the funeral comparing us with remarks like, "Are they even sisters? They don't look alike at all," only deepened my exhaustion. "I don't want the inheritance," I repeated. "You can have all $10 million, but there's one condition." Megan's eyes narrowed. "What condition?" "I won't take a single cent," I said firmly. "But in exchange, I'm cutting all ties with you. From this moment on, we are no longer family. No contact. No help. Ever." At first, she seemed stunned. But as the reality sank in, a smirk spread across her face. "10 million and cutting you off? Perfect, she said. Why would I ever need someone as ugly as you? Ignoring her mocking laughter, I knew I had made my decision. I no longer needed to stay tethered to the past, nor to her. I left our family home for good. I had lost my parents, and now my sister, but the relief of cutting ties far outweighed any lingering sadness. 3 months passed quietly. But then Megan began bombarding me with calls. At first, I ignored them, but since I needed my phone for work, I reluctantly answered. "Hillary, I need a favor," she demanded. "I don't have a sister," I replied coldly. "Stop contacting me." As I tried to hang up, her voice, drenched in self-pity but unapologetic, stopped me. I tried spending Dad's money, but a friend at City Hall said I need to consult about inheritance taxes. Isn't it all mine? Do I really need to pay taxes for money my own father left me? I don't know any lawyers, so can you handle it? Her sense of entitlement made my head throb, but I decided to clear things up once and for all. "For the record," I said, "there's no inheritance tax here since the estate is under $1.4 million. But you only have access to it because I renounced my claim. I've already informed a lawyer, so I have no rights to Dad's estate. Any issues are now your problem." Her tone shifted to a mixture of confusion and frustration. "Wait, that's great." But I cut her off, knowing that this was the last conversation we would ever have. "Don't thank me," I snapped, my words sharp and final. "And don't contact me again." Megan ended the call with an irritated huff, clearly unprepared for the harsh reality I just handed her. Inheritance wasn't as simple as taking the money and running. Assets go through probate, debts need to be settled, and only then does distribution happen. Megan's ignorance of the process would catch up with her soon enough. Weeks later, she consulted a lawyer and was hit with the harsh truth. The $10 million wasn't sitting in a bank account ready for her to collect. It was the total value of our parents' assets, much of which was tied to their businesses. Megan, who had no involvement in those businesses, wasn't entitled to much of it. Worse still, she was responsible for a share of the business debts, having co-signed on several loans. By the time the debts were deducted, her inheritance amounted to a mere $1 million. Her calls resumed, frantic and tearful. "Hillary, I'm only getting $1 million. This doesn't make sense." "That's still a lot of money," I said, my patience running thin. "It's like winning the lottery. Didn't I tell you not to contact me again?" But Megan, who had expected millions, wouldn't stop. Her troubles only escalated when rumors spread that she had inherited $10 million. Relatives, supposed friends, and even strangers hounded her for money. Stalkers and extortionists appeared, drawn by the false rumors. "Hillary, help me," she begged, desperation creeping into her voice. "Where are you now?" But I had long since left her behind. The silence in my life was precious, and I had no intention of losing it again. Megan's frantic screams filled my voicemail, each message more desperate than the last. "I'm suffering so much," she cried, her desperation evident. It was clear she had visited my old apartment, unaware that I had already moved out. Unable to reach me, she resorted to relentless calls and voicemails. Eventually, she even went to the police. However, having boasted about inheriting $10 million and flaunted her wealth by gifting designer bags, her plight was seen as self-inflicted. The rumors of her inheritance spread like wildfire, and the authorities, overwhelmed by the situation, advised her to move. Then one day, her voicemails changed tone. "Hillary, I've met the man of my dreams, Peter. He doesn't know about the inheritance, and he truly loves me." I suspected a scam immediately. Sure enough, Peter, a man Megan had met by chance, proposed that they move in together. After learning about her savings, he convinced her that banks were risky and suggested she keep her money in a home safe. Ignoring all advice, Megan closed her bank account, converted her inheritance into cash, and stored it in the safe. The next day, the safe was empty, and Peter was gone. Her voicemails quickly turned chaotic again. "I was deceived. Peter was only after the money. My life is the worst. Hillary, why won't you help me?" Her messages grew angrier, more desperate. "It's because of your attitude that you're ugly," she screamed, blaming everyone but herself for her downfall. As her funds dwindled, Megan was forced to leave her luxury apartment and move back into our old family home. There, she faced a new nightmare. Self-proclaimed relatives and so-called friends showed up daily, claiming they should share the house or live with her. Mentally exhausted and terrified, Megan left me voicemails twice a day, begging for help. Finally, I decided to respond. "Hello," I said flatly, answering her call for the first time in months. She gasped, clearly shocked to hear my voice. "Hillary, help me. I hate this life. I want to live with you. Please, where should I go?" "No," I said firmly. "Do you remember our agreement? I gave up the inheritance on the condition that you would never contact me again. How many times have you broken that promise? I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Please come get me. I can't stand this anymore. Please, help me." Her pleas grew frantic, but I didn't budge. "No," I replied. "The only reason I picked up is to tell you this. This is the last time. I'm changing my number. You won't be able to reach me again. Stop wasting your time and money on call charges." "Hillary, please," she cried, her voice full of desperation. I interrupted her, my voice cold and unyielding. "You always lied to me and put me down. But now you've destroyed yourself. I'm finally free of you, and I'm happy. You should try to find a way to fix your life." Her screams echoed through the phone as I hung up for the last time. She may have been begging for forgiveness, but it no longer concerned me. I had fulfilled my end of the deal, renouncing the inheritance and keeping my distance. Megan's ruin was of her own making. I turned off my phone, went to a mobile shop, and changed my number. Since then, my life has flourished. I commute to work from a new, peaceful home, focusing on improving my skills. I've rapidly advanced in my career, and for the first time in years, I feel truly content. "You've changed," my boss remarked one day. "You're no longer weighed down by comparisons." At lunch, my colleagues noted how much I'd grown. "You used to say things like, 'I'm just this' or 'I'm just that,' but not anymore. You seem brighter and more confident. For the first time, I've learned to value myself without comparing myself to others. I no longer have a family, but I found contentment and happiness on my own terms."